Hello, friends. Today, I'll try to give you a brief glimpse into our life in the city of Constanța in 2024, with all its unique features, little nuances, and the cost of renting property, buying groceries, and using transport. By the way, I'll be reporting directly from my bicycle, so you have a wonderful opportunity to take in all the sights of this, in my opinion, very interesting town. So, sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy the ride. After 6.5 months of intense work at sea, I found myself in a relatively small resort town with the romantic name of Constanța, located on the shores of the Black Sea. What made it even better was that my homeland, Ukraine, was only about 180 miles away. My family joined me and spent the entire vacation here with me. We arrived in mid-December 2023 and lived until May 2024 in a luxurious, freshly renovated 3-room apartment in the Dolphinarium district. The only downside was the noise from passing cars outside our windows, but was a minor inconvenience we quickly got used to. Now, I'll tell you everything in order, right from my trusty aluminum steed. Let's go. Today we're exploring one of the oldest and most fascinating cities on the Black Sea coast, Constanța in Romania. This city is not only a major seaport, but also a place full of history, culture, and, surprisingly, stories from the recent Ukrainian crisis. So let's dive in. A quick trip through history. Constanța has been around for more than 2,600 years. It was originally founded in the 6th century BC by Greek colonists from Miletus and was called Tomies. Later, it became part of the Roman Empire, and this is where the famous poet Ovid was exiled. Imagine writing your poetry by the shores of the Black Sea. During the Roman era, the city was renamed Constantiana in honor of Emperor Constantine the Great, and over time, the name evolved into Constanța. Throughout its long life, the city went through the Roman period, the Byzantine era, Ottoman rule for about 400 years. Becoming part of Romania in 1878, the port of Constanța now. Let's talk about one of the city's biggest claims to fame, its port. The port of Constanța is the largest on the Black Sea and one of the biggest in Europe, with an area of around 39 square kilometers and more than 150 berths. It handles everything from grain and oil to containers and cars. It's a crucial transport hub between Europe and Asia, and for sailors, it's a familiar stop from all over the world. Main attractions: 1. Constanța Casino. You can't miss the Constanța Casino, one of the city's most iconic buildings. Built in 1910 in Art Nouveau style, it stands proudly on the seafront. It was abandoned for years, but is now being restored and is slowly reclaiming its place as a city symbol. 2. Ovid Square next. The charming Ovid Square in the heart of the old town. Here you'll find a monument to the poet Ovid, 19th century historic houses, cozy cafes and restaurants. An archaeological museum is one of the most atmospheric spots in Constanța, perfect for a stroll or coffee. The Sea and Resorts Constanța is not just a port, it's also a resort destination. Right nearby is Mamaia, a long sandy strip with wide beaches, hotels, and restaurants. Nightlife for summer fun in summer. Tourists flock here from all over Europe to enjoy the sun and the sea. Fun fact about Constanța: the city is over 2,600 years old, home to Romania's largest mosque, Caroline Mosque. Population, around 260,000. One of the most multicultural cities in Romania. Romanians, Turks, Tatars, Greeks, Bulgarians. Interesting. In winter, Constanța is quiet, windy, and peaceful. In summer, it bursts into a lively resort city. Constanța and the Ukrainian crisis now. Here's a part of Constanța's recent history that's less known. During the first months of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Constanța became a temporary home for thousands of Ukrainians. The initial reaction from Romania was incredible. People opened their homes. Volunteers greeted refugees at train stations. Hotels offered free accommodation, and social media groups organized assistance. It was a wave of solidarity, like many called unprecedented. How Constanța managed because of its proximity to Odessa. Constanța became a key city for Ukrainians escaping the war. By 2022, authorities and businesses had prepared around 1,600 places for refugees, free transport with 73 buses and minibuses, food and humanitarian aid points. Volunteers helped with daily hot meals, delivered humanitarian aid, and provided general support. Who arrived? Most refugees were women, children, elderly people. Many came from Odessa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson, while men often stayed in Ukraine due to mobilization. Integration helped support centers in the city, helped Ukrainians find housing, enroll children in school, access medical care, find jobs. Hotlines in Ukrainian were also available. Challenges face, of course. It wasn't all easy. One, housing. Free hotel rooms sometimes became unavailable with the tourist season. Two, jobs and money. Finding work was hard. Later studies showed only 22% of refugees were employed. Three, language. Many didn't speak Romanian or English, making daily tasks challenging. Local attitudes. Despite the challenges, locals were extremely supportive. Ukrainians reported people offered free rides and food, hosted families in their homes. Many simply said, "These are our neighbors." Fun fact: Ukrainian could be heard almost everywhere, on the promenade, in shops, on beaches. Many Odessa residents even temporarily moved here. Why Constanța became a second home? Main reason: proximity to Odessa, only 300 kilometers away. The city's share: Black Sea location, similar port architecture, maritime atmosphere, familiar climate. Many refugees said, "If we must leave the sea, at least not far." Impact on the housing market in 2022, demand for rental apartments skyrocketed, especially in Feliza Nord, Mamea, and Tommy's Nord. One-room apartments increased by 40%. Many owners switched to long-term rentals instead of tourists. This created an unexpected economic boost for the city. Ukrainian businesses in Constanța. Ukrainians didn't just live here, they started businesses. Bakeries and cafes with borscht and dumplings. Beauty salons. IT specialists working remotely in some neighborhoods. You could hear Ukrainian, Russian, Romanian, and English all at once. The city became even more international. Education. Romanian schools and kindergartens welcomed Ukrainian children. Special classes. Volunteer teachers. Translators. Some studied online according to Ukrainian programs while living in Romania. Sailors and the port-to-port Constanța became even more crucial during the war, serving as a gateway for exporting grain, metal, other goods. That became Ukraine's main maritime window to Europe, especially with Black Sea restrictions. Changes in the city. Locals noticed positives: more life in winter, new restaurants, growing business. Negatives: higher rents, more people in summer, occasionally overloaded infrastructure. People's attitude. Interestingly, many Romanians said, "We understand Ukrainians well because we also live near a large empire." So their sympathy was quite genuine. Fun fact: some people from Odessa even call Constanța a little Odessa broad because the sea is similar, the port is similar, and the overall atmosphere slightly reminds them of old Odessa. The story with Ukrainian cars in Constanța in 2022 was really noticeable and a bit unusual. Where all the Ukrainian cars came from after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, thousands of people left Ukraine in their own cars. Many of these cars had license plates from Odessa, Kherson, Mykolaiv. The typical route was Odessa, southern Ukraine, Moldova, Romania, Constanța. That's why the streets of the city were suddenly filled with Ukrainian cars. Parking. At the start of the war, in the first months of 2022, local authorities and residents showed a lot of support. Fines for parking were rarely issued. Some parking lots were made free for Ukrainians. Shopping centers allowed cars to stay longer than usual. It was an unofficial way of helping. Sometimes even fuel was helped with volunteer initiatives included people bringing fuel vouchers, helping with car repairs, sharing information on where to fill up. Cheaply, many people arrived with almost no money. Later, a legal issue appeared after a few months. Questions arose about what to do with Ukrainian cars staying long-term in the EU. According to European rules, cars with foreign plates can only stay for a limited time. After that, they must either leave or register. However, Temporary exceptions were made for Ukrainians. Ukrainian cars became part of the cityscape in 2022, 2023. You could often see in Constanța cars with Ukrainian flags, stickers saying, "Stand with Ukraine," vehicles carrying humanitarian aid, sometimes entire parking lots near supermarkets looked almost completely Ukrainian. Why Ukrainians felt comfortable leaving cars here? Many said it was psychologically easier to live in Constanța because the sea was nearby. Their homes were relatively close. They could quickly return if the situation improved. So some people left their cars there for months. Interesting fact. In summer 2022, some locals joked that the city had become the westernmost district of Odessa because Ukrainian speech and cars were everywhere. Why there were many Ukrainian fishermen in winter after the Russian invasion. Quite a few people from Odessa, Mykolaiv, and other coastal towns settled in Constanța. Many of them were sea fishing enthusiasts. In winter, this became especially noticeable on the promenade. The sea is almost like Odessa's for fishermen from Odessa. The Black Sea in Constanța feels familiar. Similar depth near the shore, similar types of fish, similar winds and waves. Common catches include mullet, horse mackerel, sea bream. Gobies fishing became a way to cope for many displaced by the war. Fishing offered a way to relax, time by the sea, a connection to past routines. Some visited the piers every morning, even in winter. Quick social connections on the waterfront by the sea. People quickly found a common language. On the piers, you could hear Romanian, Ukrainian, Russian, sometimes Bulgarian or Turkish fishermen shared. Bait, tackle, tips on where the fish were biting. The sea always brings people together. Romanian fishermen were usually friendly local fishermen, mostly accepted Ukrainians well, showing good fishing spots, explaining local rules, occasionally sharing fish in coastal towns. Fishermen usually understand each other without many words. Interesting detail. In winter, it's common to see swans near fishermen waiting for small fish. You might have noticed this yourself on the promenade. Why there are so many swans in winter near Constanța, especially Novodari. Dozens or even hundreds of mute swans can be seen. Where they come from, most birds migrate from northern and northeastern Europe, Ukraine, southern Russia, Moldova, sometimes Poland and the Baltics. When lakes and rivers freeze, swans look for warmer areas with open water. The Black Sea coast is perfect. Why they like this area of the zone between Constanța and Novodari is ideal. Coastal areas, lagoons and estuaries, canals, plenty of algae and small fish. While they stand still on ice, people often notice swans standing completely still, like statues. Reasons include 1. Energy conservation. Staying still keeps them warm. 2. Resting. They can sleep, sometimes on one leg. 3. Safety. Easier to spot predators on ice. While they gather in groups, swans are social in winter. Easier to find food. Better at spotting danger. Preserve warmth. Sometimes they form a white island on ice. Why they aren't afraid of people. Swans are often fed by humans, so they're used to people. Important tip: feed them grain or corn, not bread. Bread can harm them. Fun fact: swans can live 20, 30 years and often form lifelong pairs. You may see 2 swans swimming close, touching necks, part of their courtship. Why swans dance and touch heads as behavior. Where swans swim close, touch beaks, and move necks in sync is called a courtship display. Purpose of the dance: 1. Pair bonding. Strengthens a connection between partners. 2. Preparing for nesting. And winter or early spring marks nest preparation. 3. Synchronizing behavior. Neck movements and wing gestures help them act as a team in raising chicks. Why their necks form a heart when necks curve together. It sometimes looks like a heart. That's why swans symbolize love, fidelity, and long-term relationships. After pair formation, choose a quiet spot by the water. Build a large nest from reeds and grass. Female lays 5, 7 eggs. Chicks hatch in 35, 40 days. Both parents protect and guide them. Fun fact: sometimes after the dance, swans dip their heads underwater together, like a synchronized bow. Ornithologists consider it one of the most beautiful courtship rituals among birds. 6. Winter traditions in Moldavia. Moldavia has vibrant winter traditions, the most famous being Kolinda and the Ursul, dating back long before Christianity and later merging with Christmas celebrations. The bear dance, one of the most unusual rituals, performed in late December and New Year. How it works. Men wear real bear skins, sometimes 30-40 kilograms, bear heads on top of the costume, bells and red ribbons attached. Dance to drum rhythm, heavy and rhythmic, often accompanied by a trainer with a stick ancient meaning originates from pre-Christian times. The bear symbolized the power of nature, renewal of life, protection from evil spirits. The stomping of the bear was believed to cleanse the area of evil before the new year. Kolinda, sung from December 24th to early January. Groups of children or adults go house to house, singing traditional songs, wishing health, good harvest, prosperity. Hosts give sweets, fruits, nuts, sometimes money. Themes of Kolinda: birth of Christ, peace and well-being, rich harvest, family happiness. The music is ancient and slightly mysterious, almost like a traditional chant. Other holiday masquerades villages also have Capra, Kalutsi, masks of spirits and animal. Street performances include drums, flutes, and dances. Why these traditions survive. Romania is one of the few European countries where folk customs are well preserved. Many villages still sew traditional costumes, teach children old songs, hold real folk parades. Some of the brightest festivals happen in Komonesti and Bacau, attracting hundreds of bears. Fun fact: when dozens of people in bear skins dance to drums, the sound of steps and bells can be heard across several streets. A truly ancient and impressive spectacle. People's attitude, interestingly. Many Romanians said, "We understand Ukrainians well because we also live near a large empire." So the sympathy was genuine and heartfelt. Fun fact: some people from Odessa call Constanța a small Odessa broad because the sea is similar. The port feels familiar. The overall atmosphere reminds them a bit of old Odessa in 2022. The presence of Ukrainian cars in Constanța was striking and unusual. Where all the Ukrainian cars came from after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, thousands fled Ukraine in their own cars. Many vehicles had license plates from Odessa, Kherson, Mykolaiv. The typical route was Odessa, southern Ukraine, Moldova, Romania, Constanța. As a result, the streets became filled with cars sporting Ukrainian plates. Parking during the early days of the war. In the first months of 2022, local authorities and residents were very sympathetic. In many areas, parking fines were rarely issued. Some parking lots were free for Ukrainians. Shopping centers allowed long-term parking. It was an informal way to support people in need. Sometimes even fuel help was offered. Volunteer initiatives sprang up. People brought fuel vouchers, help with car repairs, shared info on where fuel was cheaper. Many arrivals had almost no money, so this help was vital. Legal issues later. A few months in, questions arose about Ukrainian cars staying in the EU long-term. European rules: foreign cars can only stay for a limited time. After that, they must leave or register locally. For Ukrainians, temporary exceptions were made. Ukrainian cars became part of the cityscape. In 2022-2023, Constanța streets often featured cars with Ukrainian flags, stickers reading "Stand with Ukraine," vehicles carrying humanitarian aid. Sometimes entire parking lots near supermarkets looked almost Ukrainian. Why people felt comfortable in Constanța? Many Ukrainians said life here felt psychologically easier because the sea was nearby. Home wasn't too far. They could quickly return if the situation improved. Some left their cars in the city for months. Interesting detail: in summer 2022, locals joked that Constanța had become the westernmost district of Odessa. Ukrainian speech and cars were everywhere. Why there were so many Ukrainian fishermen in winter after the Russian invasion? Many people from Odessa, Mykolaiv, and other coastal cities came to Constanța. Among them were avid sea fishermen. In winter, their presence on the waterfront was especially noticeable. The sea feels familiar for Odessa fishermen. The Black Sea in Constanța is very familiar. Similar depth near the shore, similar fish species, Similar winds and waves. Common catches include mullet, horse mackerel, sea bream. Gobies. Fishing as a way to relax. Fishing became a way to calm the mind, a chance to be near the sea, a familiar pastime from home. Some came to the piers every morning, even in winter. Communication on the waterfront. People quickly found common ground by the sea. You could hear multiple languages on the piers. Romanian, Ukrainian, Russian, sometimes Bulgarian or Turkish fishermen shared. Bait, gear, tips on where the fish were biting. The sea always brings people together. Romanian fishermen were mostly welcoming local fishermen, usually. Showed good spots, explained local rules. Sometimes even shared fish in coastal towns. Romania and Ukrainians won 2022 massive support. Free housing, volunteers at borders, food, clothing assistance to 2024, 2026, more stable, formal. Sympathy remains, but not as intense. Many Ukrainians now work and integrate. Economy is tougher. Housing changes. Early 2022, 50/20 program for hosts. 2023, 2024, assistance to refugees directly. From mid-2024, temporary support up to 3 months. Then work school registration needed. Ukrainians remaining 200,000 under temporary protection, but many moved further or returned. Effect in Constanța. Ukrainian families, cars, cafes remain. Free housing mostly gone. Many now pay rent and work. Rental market changes. 1. Remaining refugees seeking long-term housing. 2. Summer tourists. Increased demand. 3. Limited housing supply. Rent growth. Ukrainians brought culture, cooking borscht, vareniki, participating in caroling, cafes and restaurants. Ukrainian families, traditional foods, tourists, seafood, coffee, fast beach meals. Menus adapted to both slightly higher prices, more revenue. Transport, more taxis and buses used. Many city tours in Russian and Ukrainian. Morning traffic denser due to families traveling together. Hotels and rentals. Dual load. Tourist short-term, Ukrainians winter long-term. Prices increase near beaches and promenade shops and services. Ukrainians buy staples, tourists buy fresh and souvenirs. Stores label products in Russian, Ukrainian culture and entertainment. Mixed languages heard along the promenade. Ukrainians joined in winter traditions. Summer festivals attract tourists. International atmosphere. Conclusion. Local business income. Housing and service prices. City vibrant year-round. Infrastructure adapted. Whereby groceries in Constanța supermarkets. Kaufland, Suppico, Lidl, Penny, Auchan local markets. Tommy's 3 Market. Best to shop early for full selection tips. Avoid beach stores. Buy seasonal fruits, vegetables at markets. Plan weekly meals. Cook at home. Have some cash for small stores. Public transport costs. Single bus ride, 2.5, 3 RON. Monthly pass, 70, 100 RON. Taxi, 4 RON start, 3. 5 RON. KM life in Constanța. As a Ukrainian, living here means balancing 2 worlds. 1 foot in a new life, new people, new habits. 1 foot in home, family, and memories. The city teaches patience, adaptation, and appreciation for simple things. The sea, fresh air, morning fishing, quiet promenades. Humans' kindness and warmth help survive tough times. Constanța remains a city of wind, sea, swans, and peaceful winter waterfronts, where to buy fresh produce and save money. Markets and fairs. Tommy's 3 Market, one of the city markets where you can buy vegetables, fruits, greens, bread, and other seasonal products at lower prices. Markets in Constanța usually operate from early morning until noon. Arriving early means better selection and the chance to bargain. Locals say markets are one of the best ways to buy fresh produce cheaply, especially seasonal fruits and vegetables. Additional tips: buy vegetables and fruits at the market rather than in supermarkets, usually noticeably cheaper. Avoid stores on the beach, especially in summer. Prices there are often much higher than in regular city supermarkets. If you plan to shop for the week, buy in Kaufland, Lidl, or Suppico. There are usually promotions and discounts. Visa MasterCard is accepted everywhere, but it's good to have some cash for markets or small shops. Local advice: to save even more. Buy items on sale. Plan your weekly meals. Cook at home. This is almost always cheaper than eating out or buying ready-made meals. And that's how life goes for a Ukrainian in this small Black Sea city. Constanța has taught me a lot. Patience, adapting to new circumstances, and appreciating simple things, the sea, fresh air, morning fishing, and quiet walks along the promenade. Being Ukrainian here means living between two shores of the Black Sea. On one side, a new life, new people, and new habits. On the other, home, which always stays in your heart over these months. I realize one simple truth. Wherever you are, genuine human relationships and the kindness of people always help you survive tough times. We are sincerely grateful to Romanians for their warm hospitality and support during this challenging period of our lives. And Constanța remains for us a city of wind, sea, swans, and quiet winter promenades. Thank you, friends, for traveling this journey with me. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Thank you for sharing this journey. Take care and see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video.